Ralph, sorry, when David Moyes took over in 2013, he was very clear that he felt there was a big rebuilding job at that point. Got a long contract, but he was sacked after 10 months. Do you think that the club, if the next 12 months are bumpy under Eric, that first 12 months, the club will hold their nerve and realise that it's going to require patience and some long-term thinking to sort of put the ship right?
I said, there were too many ifs and what would happen might happen. I can only tell you from what I've seen and what I've heard and experienced so far, Erik ten Hag is a good choice, if not a very good choice. He has shown that in the past. I'm pretty convinced that he's the best possible coach that you can get right now. And all the other things, as I said earlier on, as sad as it is and as frustrating as it feels right now for everybody involved, and believe me, for me, this is extremely, terribly frustrating because in the last 10 years, if not 15 years, we only experienced success, myself also, as a sporting director and as a football manager. But in football, you're not always on the bright side. Right now, we are on the other side. But as I said earlier on, the good thing about what happened, one of the very few good things is that it's crystal clear. It's not that difficult. You don't even need glasses to analyze and to see where the problems are.
Ralf Rangnick in a powerful press conference, outing the Glazers' mistakes, defending past managers, explaining and giving Manchester United fans the fuel to the fire that's needed to help continue to push the change that's needed at the club. And we're going to take a look at some more of it in this reaction video. We're going to do that. I want your opinions. I want your comments on this right now. I expect salt from a lot of rivals, by the way, on this, because this really could be a watershed moment for Manchester United. I'm going to get into why later. But this was a potent and very important moment in this rebuild at Manchester United. For the first time post Sir Alex Ferguson, the acting manager, someone in an official capacity has called this out. In fact, somebody with any clout connected to Man United has called out the problems ahead of time. And this, for me, is absolutely massive. We're going to take a little bit more of a look here and continue to see towards the end of the press conference, what Ralf had to say.
About how do we solve them? And for me, it's clear. It's not.
Remember, he said it's crystal clear how we solve these things. Just remember that point. It's very important.
It's not enough to do some little minor amendments, some little issues here and there, some minor cosmetic things. No.
That means, to break that down, that means selling one or two players, buying one or two players isn't going to solve United. Sacking one manager and bringing another manager in isn't going to fix Manchester United. And I'll be honest with you all, I feel like crying hearing this. It makes me emotional. I love this football club with every ounce of me. And I feel like I've been speaking to a brick wall, barring a handful of people, for 9 years now. It's never really been the managers. And I got suckered in the Moyes era and in part of the LVG era to thinking it was bad coaching because we'd only ever experienced brilliance at this club. But I was awoken to the fact that there were bigger, wider, deeper issues here that everybody's been ignoring. And Ralf is now finally calling them out.
This is, in medicine, you would see this is an operation at the open heart. So there are more things to be changed than some little things here and some minor things there. And this is the good thing. And for me, this is, if this happens, and if everybody has realized that this has to happen, and if people want to work together, then it makes sense. And
you hear that there? A big change is needed, open heart surgery. And if everybody wants to make this work, and if everybody sticks together like they've promised, this could happen. He also said, and we'll touch on it later, earlier on in the press conference, that it shouldn't take 2 to 3 years to see the change. And he's right. To win league titles, it might take 3 or 4 seasons. But the progression should be noticeable from the start, because this isn't about player ability. This is about being competitive in games, having the right attitude on the field of play. That's instilled during training, and it's backed up by the way the club behaves.
And then I still believe that it doesn't need and take 2 or 3 years to change those things. This can happen within 1 year, and other clubs not too far away.
And he doesn't mean win the league in 1 year. Let me reiterate again, not in 1 year win the league, but start to see the change, which hasn't happened under any other manager.
Away from here have shown that it doesn't take 2, 3, 4 years, that it's possible within 1, 2, maybe 3 transfer windows.
It does require strong leadership, though, on and off the pitch. Without strong leadership going forward, there's no hope.
For sure. But this implies, this is also something that not only one single person as a manager can do. I mean,
you hear that there? This ain't about the manager doing this. It's a fallacy that the manager by himself does this.
With all respect to Jürgen and Pep, I'm sure that they didn't do all the things themselves. There were also other people involved in those 2 clubs, top people in certain positions, no matter in which area it was.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with Ralph more there. And hearing him say it, a man who's been a manager, a director of football, who is very well respected in the game. Pep and Klopp are the best 2 managers in the world right now. They're sensational. Pep Guardiola is going to go down as one of the all-time greats. Jurgen Klopp is on his way to achieving that. But they didn't build their clubs by them. Fergie didn't do it all by himself. He had David Gill as an example for a large part, helping him. It's a team effort. And this is what's key to me. When I look at this and I think about this and everything that's kind of been said by Ralph Rangnick in this press conference, is he's called out the right things. If you go through and watch it, he's announced that Paul Pogba's going. No more of this nonsense of will he or won't he. Pogba probably not going to play for us again now he's injured. He isn't staying. He's on his way. He's called out Eric Bailly moaning about not playing on Instagram. Absolutely, it's enough of this insubordinate behavior. Calling Pogba out was important because we shouldn't be held to ransom by anybody. We shouldn't be bending over backwards for 4 years for any player. Grow a backbone. I don't blame Pogba for doing it. I blame the club for allowing it to empowering him and many others before to do exactly the same thing. It's absolutely wrong. And you see here that this is what he said about Rangnick. He said Pogba getting injured against Liverpool. He should have laid down and sat down, but he was trying to hobble behind the referee and telling me he was injured. We were effectively 1 player down and we still attacked. So of course he's talking about the goal there. He goes on in the Paul Pogba conversation to very much speak about the fact that we're not going to see him again. Like, Pogba has tried at times. It just isn't working. And I've always felt since Pogba decided to leave, and I believe he decided to leave 3 or 4 years ago, he's never really been at his optimum best. And because he's not kind of bought in, and that's why it's important to be moving somebody like him on. Of course, he says that, we've already touched on here about other people. And the reason this is so important is this. Yes, Ten Hag is one of the best options Man United have out there right now. But it isn't just down to him. He needs a director of football or equivalent. He needs the scouts. He needs the football people to make football decisions for the betterment of the playing element on the pitch. Not what's going to earn us the most money. What's going to get us the best traction on social media. Football decisions first by football people. If Erik Ten Hag has that, Manchester United can progress very, very quickly indeed. He also said that he doesn't believe it's going to take 2 to 3 years to change things. Change things doesn't mean win league titles. I disagree with people like Lee Gunner on this. Success for Man United next year is qualifying with comfort for the Champions League. The football looking better, losing less games, winning more games, and being more dominant within them. And of course, with someone like Ten Hag, you want the gameplay to be more entertaining. That is a step change, year 1 that you expect to see. This hasn't happened for any other manager because everything has been so discombobulated, inconsistent behind the scenes. There needs to be a togetherness to make this work. And of course, he called out that we lost on aggregate to Liverpool 9-0, Man City 6-1. We even lost to teams like Watford 4-1. This is just a sad reality that we have to face and just acknowledge, which will help Man United in future. And I wanted to pull on that part for a reason. A lot of people will say, well, what's this going to do? How is this going to change the Glazers? This whole press conference should make the Glazers, the staff, the players, and more importantly than anything else, the fans, sit back, reflect, and take stock. Now, I'm kind of looking at this from I am looking at this from a bit of a confirmation bias. Like, this is what I've been saying, preaching, shouting, ranting about for years. But this is about everybody, including myself, taking stock and looking at this and saying, we have to acknowledge our problems. I don't think the Glazers have been told this directly by very many people at all, that what you're doing is wrong. Ralph's doing this in a calm way, not a disrespectful one. He's being blunt, but professional at the same time. He's got the balance right. Sometimes that realization is key. Now, the reason I say the fans are important is this. The Glazers may go, my God, what have we been doing? Let's make the changes, to stick to them. Let's do it the right way now. That could happen all by themselves. But I think a little fan pressure is needed. We can turn it around quickly. Energy, passion, desire, work rate is required first before we even think about adding additional ability to this team. If you can get both at the same time, utopia, great. The fans have got to not attack the manager if things don't go right. 1, 2, 3, 4 fouled managers and an interim manager that struggled on the bounce clearly isn't down to the managers at this moment in time if Man United fail. We need to put pressure on this club to give a manager what he needs. And that doesn't mean spending exorbitant amounts of money and paying big wages per se. It means structure, culture, player behaviors and attitude. If someone's family, agent, and themselves are flirting with leaving 1 year, 2 years into a 6-year deal, and you can't make them stop, you move them on. If players are running to the media every time they're not picked, you get rid of them. If they're moaning on social media every time they're not picked, you get rid of them. Sometimes you've got to put your foot down with a firm hand, and that is what Manchester United Football Club need to do. As I said at the top of it, this could be a watershed moment for Manchester United. The fact that he is calling out the Glazers' misgivings. He is slamming the lack of football decisions at this club. He is calling out poor player behaviors. And he is simply telling Man United fans that small change isn't going to do anything. Rashford and Maguire leaving, Ten Hag coming in, but no changes internally being made will change nothing. Criticize poor performance. Be annoyed at bad managerial decisions. But drop this nonsense that all of us at some point, myself included at the beginning, and under the first 2 managers really, drop this nonsense that the manager is the problem at Manchester United. When we're being run well, when we're being consistent, when we're creating greatness again, and a new manager comes in and it isn't quite working for him, but things behind the scenes are working well, then fair enough. But no well-run football club who spends what Man United spend, either in the contemporary sense or pound for pound from the past, has been this unsuccessful. If you're run well with a good culture and structure and you spend money, and run well means appointing the right people, buying the right players as well, by the way, you can be a huge success. Well done, Ralph Rangnick. That was an emotional night for Man United fans. This could be a watershed moment in terms of the new direction this club is going in. I hope the Glazers listen, but more importantly, I hope the fans take stock, apologize, whether it's publicly or internally to themselves. I'm going to drop my manager agendas, drop my player agendas, and focus on the only problem that Man United have had for the past 9 years, plus even longer, really, and that's the Glazers and the way in which we were run.